Hi, my name is Nigel Rothfels, and I'm a professor of history and acting associate vice provost for research at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. My dissertation focused on how animals have been thought about in different historical periods. And I think even now my scholarship would sort of generally be described as, in the world of animal studies, sort of the humanistic study of animals and culture. I think the thing I'm most proud of is my career. It's sort of strange. I would have thought, okay, maybe the answer to this is like a certain publication or something like that. But actually, it's the career I've had. When I left graduate school, I found a job in a humanities research center here in Milwaukee as an editor. But honestly, I felt I'd sort of failed to launch, that it wasn't the career I had imagined, but it's the one I ended up with. Since then, so we're now talking more than 30 years ago, since then, I've had about every different kind of job at my university in the faculty and in the academic staff. I've also even been the acting dean, and I'm currently in another sort of acting vice provost role. So yeah, over 30 years, I feel like I've checked a lot of different boxes career-wise, and I'm quite proud of that. It's a strange feeling because honestly, when I think about the very beginning of all this, I never would have imagined that I would be where I am today. I finished my dissertation, and I completely busted on the academic job market. I turned in a dissertation, honestly, that I wasn't that happy about. But I turned it in because it was just a situation where I needed to get on with the next steps in my life. It was time to move and it was time to get on, and so I rushed it a little bit. And I was on the job market, and there was kind of nothing. And part of that was definitely the kind of niche field that I was in, but part of it, honestly, was that it was not a really great dissertation. And I think that that was kind of a weight around my ankles when I was trying to find an academic job. I when I went to graduate school, I did so because I'd always done well in school. I always thought I would do well, and to like get to the end of it after, in my case, it was 8 years at Harvard University. I got to the end of it, and I was like, "Phew, well, that's great. I guess what I will do is have basically an entry-level job at a university as a staff person." Yeah, that was tough. I was 32 years old, and I didn't really feel like I was gonna be successful. And I'd always sort of imagined, oh, maybe when I'm about 35 or so, everything will be in place. And I reached 35 and I wasn't in place, or at least I wasn't in the place that I had always imagined myself being in. I kind of had a 40-hour-a-week job, and I went to work and I came home, and I was not feeling, a real sense of accomplishment or that I had much of a future. In some sense, both of my parents were kind of refugees in the World War II context, and they had gone through some pretty rough things, both of them, and they had this kind of like, well, we're just going to focus on the positive. Just focus on the positive. It'll be okay. Just focus on the positive. There are bad things that will happen. I did try some therapy at the time, and I think what that did was help me identify how I deal with things. In my particular case, I'm not sure I developed some really great ways of doing it better, but I'll say that just recognizing how I deal with things was a real revelation to me, and it really helped me like, oh, that's why I do those things that I do. And it helped me sort of process a lot of the sort of difficult stuff that was going on. There was this campaign some years ago. I want to say maybe it's like in the early 2000s, somewhere in that late 2000s, and it was called "It Gets Better," and it it was really sort of focused on LGBTQ youth, I feel like, and dealing with issues of people feeling targeted because of their gender and sexuality, and also feeling kind of hopeless about what their lives would look like. And the concept was, well, have some have some people who have kind of been there, and talked about how things actually get better. And what I've learned from my failure is that it actually kind of does. It's this weird thing. I think number one, I learned that I have to recognize that I have all the tools I need to accomplish the things I hope to accomplish in my life. Maybe not on the timeline that I had originally imagined, but patience and compassion to myself would really, really helped. And knowing that, kind of thinking about life as a kind of a longer thing, not just a series, I've got to do this, I've got to do this at this particular point, but sort of realizing that, yeah, it might take a little while, but I can probably still do a lot of the things I wanted to do. So I learned, I think, just to be patient, and to let things play out and realize that, yeah, it may not be awesome now, but I have learned that it does in fact get better over time, and I do. It sounds kind of cheesy when I say it, but I do really believe it. My primary advice for graduate students is to have faith in themselves. You have every reason to think, honestly, that things will work out for you. You have been successful in the past, you've been successful academically, and there will be bumps in the road. It is just what life throws at you. And but just be patient, have a little compassion, realize that you're going to be sad about things, and just sort of recognize that, honestly, the there are a lot of years to accomplish the things I want to accomplish. It doesn't have to be done today. The path may not lead to where you ever imagined, but it will lead somewhere. And if you just, use your brain, use the tools you have, you'll find a path. And just because it didn't work exactly the way you imagined doesn't mean that, you're not going to get to the point where I am, of looking back and saying, yeah, I kind of checked the boxes. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so I'm Nigel, and I'm really grateful for you watching the video. I'm sending you loads of hearts and wishing you success in what you're doing, and just asking you to love yourself, and take care of yourself and take care of your friends. And I wish you all success.